your host. I'm here with Nolan Kelly and Alex Awesemo Baker. I think this is our third best ball draft. Is that right? We did one last week and then the week before.
That's right. Yeah, third one.
Yeah.
Coming up quick.
Bugs out. I just never use it anymore.
Yeah. You guys.
There's someone in this building.
You guys already joined.
Like,
We have joined and we just got our picks assigned. I am pick 6. Alex is pick 5. So this kind of sucks because we're going to be right next to each other the whole draft.
Man, so we can't let guys slip because I know you're going to pick up the sneaky plays. So
that's right.
You know,
I've got your projections too.
I was thinking here maybe they can get Antonio Gibson in like the 12th round, but oh man, we're already picking here.
You're on the clock.
How's Kamara still up on here? Anyway,
you taking Kamara? You are not worried about that epidural?
It's warm up.
I mean, I guess. Michael
or
Thomas.
My style anyway. Yeah,
kind of
as in,
Thomas, so
not pushing teams
Kamara,
because I suck, George.
You know, he's a
Imagine reading into what I'm saying and not even understanding what I'm
Derrick
meaning.
Henry here.
You know
Are we having audio issues? Issues, Leslie?
Sorry. Just a second.
No
worries. Let me see.
It's all good.
George, I'm sick and tired of how sick and tired you make me feel. You know?
All right. Okay. What do we got coming off the board
That
here?
wasn't even dumb. That was a smart thing. Speaking of smart,
did you just have some audio issues? That could be at my end. I'm not sure.
I got it all cleared up. I think it was on my end, but we're good now. Are you guys in the draft now already?
We are in the draft. Alex has taken Alvin Kamara, he of the recent epidural shots and contract holdouts, and I went with the safer pick of Derrick Henry.
What picks were you guys?
Out in the grass.
5 and 6.
5 and 6. Okay.
Did George apologize for yesterday?
Is that where you guys like to
George,
be? I think I asked you this last weekend, Alex.
I think Alex likes to be in the middle. I remember you asking that. I prefer to be towards the top of the draft just because I find that you're going to get 2 very good players with that top 3 pick. You're going to get a star running back. And then like on the way back, like just players fall all the time, like getting like, you know, Lamar Jackson or one of the big tight ends or Austin Eckler. It's been happening a lot. So though these drafts sharpen up as we get closer to the season, that's my preferred spot. But middle of the round is fine too.
Mind, dude. I did fix your audio issue. You're just.
I've been doing a ton of these.
Well, I want my notifiers to be super loud, so I don't want to lower my game audio.
There's some Call of Duty thing happening. Not bad. I have a weird setup for this because I'm not at home right now, but I'll figure that out. I have Twitch open for some reason on this computer.
You're a literal dumb.
Like
imagine.
My bad, guys. Thanks for bearing with us. So what I've been finding is that if you have the first pick, I mean that's awesome because you get the best player, Christian McCaffrey. So I think that's the #1 draft position. But then I like having my draft picks spaced out a little bit because otherwise you can't really get your favorite players because you're gonna have to reach to get them. If you have it spaced out, you can kind of take whoever is falling a little bit.
Makes total sense to me. I've been kind of like trying to get a little bit. So I'm on the clock here. I've got 17 seconds left. I have been trying to get, I've taken a lot of Travis Kelce so far this draft season and been trying to get a little bit more Austin Eckler because I actually am thinking that, that he's maybe ranked a little bit too low on here. So I'm going to draft Austin Eckler just for differentiation purposes here. Where are you going, Alex?
I think Travis Kelce dropped, so I got to pick him. I mean, he's my #1 tight end, of course, and that gives you an advantage over other people that don't have Kelce. At the end, it's probably going to be like people in the finals have really similar rosters, but he's definitely a solid guy. So I think he's like one of my favorite season-long Classic League plays in best ball. It doesn't really there's not quite as much of an advantage of like having one really good player at a position. So I'm still learning that part, but a really solid player overall.
I like it.
I was telling you guys earlier that I was in a best ball draft and Kelce was on the board and someone took Dak Prescott ahead of him at 24. I just don't know what some of these people are doing. And
go ahead.
They took, I don't know if it was the same person, but I knew the draft was a little bit going to be a little bit weird when someone took Saquon before Christian McCaffrey. And then it kind of snowballed from there, it seemed like.
Yeah, there's I was saying, like, there's always like one or two people in these drafts that are just absolutely abysmal at best ball, where like they're doing their one draft per year and they really want to get their guy or something. And so like I think those guys more often than not pay for the rake. So that's kind of a nice thing to know going in, I think.
I was glad that we did it last Friday because I was supposed to get drinks with friends afterwards, and I was just like, I'm too tired on a Friday, I'm going to cancel. Then I got a notification, oh, your draft is starting soon. I just hadn't paid attention to one of my leagues, and I had a draft at 8:00 last Friday. So it was nice to have a little warm up with you guys.
No kidding. All right, Alex, you're on the clock.
Oh shoot, I didn't even realize. Thanks for prompting me here, because I was dozing off. This is a guy I really like this year, Allen Robinson, because I just feel Foles is going to be much more likely to pass than Trubisky.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's going to be more passing attempts, but they haven't even named a quarterback yet, so I'm really reading between the lines. I don't know. How do you guys feel? It's
a little bit scary, right? I'm on the clock here, so I'm just going to select. I'm going to go with one of my standard picks in this spot, which is Adam Thielen. Yeah, I agree with you. It's like I really like one of the advantages as well of taking Allen Robinson and even like Kenny Golladay and some of these receivers that aren't tied to elite quarterbacks is it gives you some leverage later on in the draft. So, you can, if you don't get that quarterback of that stack that you want, you can always circle back and grab Nick Foles, right?
Yeah, I mean, Nick Foles, he's always available pretty much. So that's
exactly.
My favorite part about Robinson for sure. And
exactly.
Like he's not a great quarterback, but he's not a mobile quarterback, and I just feel like he's going to throw the ball a ton. I guess they might try to run David Montgomery more this year, but feel good about that.
How many Mitch Trubisky shares have you taken?
I take him a couple times, like when I had Nick Foles too, just because I feel like there's a chance that they alternate between the two guys over the course of the season. Because, yep. I mean, suppose Mitch Trubisky gets a few starts and then he stinks, like a couple of them, then we're going to see a switch and vice versa. So
makes sense. Oh, David Johnson already off the board, Alex.
Oh, man, I feel like I'm on an island with David Johnson because it's okay, you like him too?
Oh yeah, of course I like him. And he's like going 50 spots ahead of his draft position on average. So I think like people are wise to it. It's just like occasionally you get a draft where people just don't notice it or forget, and you end up getting him in like 50th or 60th or something, and you just count your lucky stars.
Yeah, I mean, I'm following your advice from one of the previous shows where it's like you can get him at a good value early, but then if you let him slip, you get him and another really awesome player. So that's really been my go-to strategy.
Leslie, you heard that, right? Alex is taking my advice on this.
I heard
it. Alex, who am I taking here? Calvin Ridley or Cooper Kupp?
Oh gosh. Well,
keep in mind I have 98% Cooper Kupp shares here, so I'm just going to take Cooper Kupp again because why wouldn't you?
I love Ridley though.
I mean, what do you like Ridley this year, Leslie?
I just think that last year he had more touchdowns than Julio Jones, and he didn't even play all of the games. I think he played like half the games or something. I'd have to look back in my notes, but he had less yards than Julio Jones, but one more touchdown, and Julio played more than he did. I think this could be a really good year for him.
All right, yeah, and talked me into it.
Did you take him?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, the thing with Ridley, I'm not as excited about his average outcome because Julio is kind of taking a lot of the targets, but in a world where Julio gets an injury or something, Calvin Ridley is going to be insanely good. So that has a lot of upside.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And the other aspect of Calvin Ridley that's kind of an X factor. I mean, he's at his 3-year breakout, which is kind of a cliche in fantasy football circles. But also, he did really well after Mohamed Sanu was traded last year, becoming the second target as well. Austin Hooper out of that offense. So now you got Hayden Hurst, who like may replace Austin Hooper, but may also be a bit of a question mark in that role. So there might be a lot of targets up for grabs.
That's true. Yeah, Hayden Hurst probably not getting that Austin Hooper level target share this season, so that does improve Ridley's chances.
How do you think he's gonna do with the Browns?
I don't think it's gonna be as good because I mean Atlanta has the most passing attempts of any team pretty much every year, and the Browns don't pass as much. So
and going outside the dome there.
That's true. This is kind of like he was already like such an outlier last year that expecting that this year is kind of hard.
Yeah.
Oh man, someone took Le'Veon. That was gonna be my pick.
Damn it. Well, you're gonna have to take T.Y. Hilton now.
How did you know?
Who am I taking here, Alex? Everyone's off. Am I just gonna grab like Cortland Sutton?
I like Robert Woods. Cortland Sutton's fine too.
You know what? I don't have much Robert Woods so far. I always miss out on him. I'm going to grab Jared Goff. If you take him from me, I'm going to be super mad.
Well, I don't have Kupp either, so there's no way I'm taking Goff because he's not a solo player.
I love it. All right.
Yeah,
this is hard to do with us up next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling guys aren't going to slip nearly as far this time.
That's true. What do you think about Darren Waller this year, Alex?
I kind of go back and forth. Like I like that Tyrell Williams is out because I mean he's been really efficient with his targets. Doesn't get targeted a ton, but the rest of the Vegas squad is all rookies, so I think Waller should be pretty safe. It's just that Las Vegas they have a really tough schedule and they're a really bad team to start with. So,
but they have a really easy schedule in the playoffs, according to our strength of schedule tool.
Oh man, I didn't dig that far in. I just saw like in my notes 32nd toughest schedule. So
is that right?
Yeah, I mean those 3 weeks in playoffs are really worth way more. So that is.
Let me pull this up just to make sure I'm not totally full of shit here.
Well, the strength of schedule doesn't. It like shows you how it changes from week to week, but like the baseline for all the Vegas players is lower to begin with because the overall schedule is tough.
Makes total sense.
Set it up.
And one of the things about our strength of schedule tool this year that is unique is that Alex has gone through and taken actual projections into the strength of schedule. So it's not just about defenses, which a lot of other sites do not have. Derek Carr, number 1 projected quarterback in strength of schedule playoffs.
Wow, that is encouraging. I mean, maybe I need to start getting some more Vegas stacks then.
All right, I'm taking David Montgomery here, right? Like, why is he slipping so far?
It's an injury. He's gonna miss week 1 maybe, but
he might be back for week 1. I'm taking him.
He might. Yeah, I mean, like, it's a situation where he's dropping way too far. I think so. I think it's a good pick. And good. Missing 1 week, it really doesn't matter at all because it's week 1. All other 19 players are going to be playing, and it's not like you're going to be thin on the roster with buys and stuff. So the guys that are out the first week or two are some of my favorite plays. Like another being Deebo Samuel because
love it.
Yeah, he's just going to be
slipping like crazy.
Yeah, he's like the 100th ADP or something like that. And I mean, I have him as probably a mid to like 50, 60 player when he's healthy. So there's a chance he misses the whole season like AJ Green. But all the signs are looking good for him.
Exactly. Leslie, who are you getting to the most this best ball season?
Oh God. I feel like some of the lower picks, I feel like those are always the people that fall to me. You know, when you get down the line, like I feel like Latavius Murray, just like, or last week we were talking about Tariq Cohen. I feel like those people are all like certain people are just always there for you. But I've been trying to kind of, because I don't play as many as you guys do. I've been trying to kind of diversify. So if I feel like I'm picking someone too much, then I kind of try and go another way just because injury or whatever. But
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And we talked about a little bit about that. I think, Alex, when you and I did that show, it's like you have to approach it almost like you're doing a 150 max GPP tournament. You don't want too much exposure. Oh shit, I'm on the clock. Hang on.
Yeah, someone sniped my QB.
All right, I'm taking.
Sorry, like I wasn't
taking Jarvis.
face palming because of you guys. I was eyeing Deshaun Watson, and then he went one pick before my turn.
That's terrible.
And that's like the tough thing about these drafts is because you got to get a perfect draft to have a really good team.
Yeah.
And I was thinking here, if I got that Houston and Atlanta stack, that combo is a little bit unusual.
What does your team look like now, Alex? Can you show us on the screen?
Yeah, I got Kamara. I got really solid receivers. I went really hard on receiver. Now I got to really find some running backs to fill the team because you picked David Montgomery before I could get to him.
Nice. You got Will Fuller there? Is that you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Who all do you have now, Nolan?
So I am looking at, I got my running backs are Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler, Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods at wide receiver. Flex position right now is David Montgomery and Jarvis Landry. So I do not have a quarterback or a tight end. Just been kind of going BPA here so far, but I'm okay with my draft. I think as long as I can snag Jared Goff and some wank doesn't take him like 5 rounds too early, then I should be all right. And then I've got some other options here, like grabbing Kirk Cousins or grabbing Baker Mayfield as well to pair with Landry so far. So there's still some quarterback options for me. And then, this is kind of like the tight end zone coming up here where like there's a 2 to 3 rounds where there are just a ton of tight ends going off the board. So I'm going to try and take one of them as well to add to my team. Alex, I see Tyler Higbee's gone, but if he was available, would you recommend the triple stack of Tyler Higbee, Cooper Kupp, and Robert Woods if you were able to get Jared Goff?
Why not? I think they're all good. I read today that Gerald Everett's on the trading block. So that makes me feel even more confident in Tyler Higbee because the only knock against him was the amount of time that he's on the field. So if that trade happens, like that'll be huge for Higbee's chances. And I know if you're watching and you have the draft kit, you probably have a lot of Higbee because he always falls. So so that would be big for all of us.
So I'm guessing Evan Ingram's going to go here pretty quickly. I'm hoping he's on the board when I'm there because I don't have any shares of him, and he's going to go right now. What do you want to bet? And another example of like bad best ball drafters. I got to take Evan Ingram here. I don't have any shares, and I kind of like him. Another example of the bad best ball drafts. Paris Campbell just went, and Paris Campbell you can get probably 3 to 4 rounds later. There's absolutely no reason to be taking him this early. So
someone in the chat said people taking Lamar and Mahomes in the first round of best ball SMH. What do you guys think about that?
Alex, you go first.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it's just like a rookie mistake because like they're the best players in the league for fantasy, like given the right format. But the problem is when you only get to start one quarterback and there's 30, like you're always going to have a good quarterback. Whereas running back, you start 2, there's only 32 teams. And that means everyone has to have 2. That's 24 right there. And there really aren't enough running backs to fill all that need. So it's just all about the positional scarcity.
Positional scarcity, and also like to the point of that question, like you don't need to take them that high. They slip to the mid to late second round almost every single draft. So if you're essentially what you're doing is just overdrafting, guaranteeing yourself these players, and that's probably something that drafters are doing when they just don't draft a lot. They really want their guy and they're not willing to let the draft fall to them. So if you like Lamar Jackson, you want to take him at the end of the second round, or you want some exposure, because again, according to the strength of schedule tool, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens have the number 2 projection in our strength of schedule tool for the playoffs. So if you do want some Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews shares, he's going to fall to you at the end of the second round sometimes. So you might as well pair him with Zeke Elliott or Saquon Barkley or Alvin Kamara rather than reaching for him on those drafts.
I totally agree. I feel like every draft I've been in, though, so far this season, people have been taking those two in the first round. It's just like, okay, I mean,
It's
like
true.
you
It's
said,
true.
I'd rather have a good running back. So
I'm on the clock here, Alex. Who am I taking?
Well,
I don't
you
like
gotta take
anything.
someone because Ronald Jones is going to be the auto draft, I think.
14 seconds left. I'm gonna click Anthony Miller, even though I don't love him.
Nice. I like him a lot because, I mean, he's a guy that I think he's the third year, like you're saying, where they have that ascendancy, and with the quarterback change, that adds a little bit of upside. So
I like
that
it.
could pay off. I had an interesting situation with my pick because I'm running back starved, and I like Kerryon Johnson more than Tevin Coleman. I mean, both aren't like huge high percentage plays, but Kerryon Johnson's ADP is like 10 higher. So I'm just hoping that comes back around to me. And Nolan, you don't take him.
I'm very high on Kerryon Johnson since he was noted to be starting, but probably not there yet. So you might be good. I would actually probably prefer Philip Lindsay to that at this point, because you never know what's going to happen with the work share there, and Philip Lindsay kind of getting some shared time in camp and looking pretty good. So we'll talk. There's no collusion here. That's for sure, Alex. So if I want Kerryon Johnson, I'm taking him.
I knew you were picking. Oh, you are picking before me. Oops, I thought you were picking after me. I was just joking. Well, if now you have to take Kerryon Johnson, or else we're gonna give off the vibe of collusion.
vibe of collusion.
I know, like we're gonna have people on Twitter begging for our removal from DraftKings.
Here's as soon as your girlfriend starts entering 150 lineups, Alex, that's when we'll have to deal with DraftKings.
Well, it's funny because she's not a big best ball drafter. She's more into sports book.
Is that right?
That's what my story is.
I love it. A question for you. So I've already got Jarvis Landry here. What would either of you Austin Hooper's gone. Never mind. I was going to say Austin Hooper doesn't project out particularly well for us, but would you add him just to kind of have that extra target so you could draft a Baker Mayfield later? I know our projections aren't very high on the Cleveland offense this year, though.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think that tight end at this pick is just kind of weak, and it kind of almost makes sense to wait until like the end of the draft to pick up some extra tight ends. But like if you're building a super stack, that can be a good strategy. And
but what about our boy Dallas Goddard right here?
I like him. Yeah. I mean, he's another guy where the upside's big because he's a really strong talent that's being blocked a tiny bit by Zach Ertz.
Mm-hmm.
So
but they do lead the league in two tight end sets by a country mile. So yeah. And with the injury to Jalen Reagor and Alshon Jeffrey, there's a chance those guys are on the field a lot this year.
Oh, for sure. And we saw that at the end of the last year, but that all equaled out to Dallas Goddard being like a 40 to 50 yard per game guy, which is pretty good for a tight end, but it's not going to blow you away.
All right. Well, I'm taking him. I took him. Backup tight end.
Well, you know who I was.
Don't hate me. Who's that?
Shoot, wait. You're supposed to pick Kerryon Johnson, man.
Oh, I forgot. Nice pick. Leslie, so who's your NFL team?
The Rams.
Yeah. Shocking no one. The LA from or living in LA currently.
Yeah. Well, I also lived in Missouri when they were in St. Louis. So then they came here and I lived here, but I was watching Hard Knocks and it's just so sad that we won't be able to go see that stadium. It looks so cool.
It does look like a nice stadium.
Sad, but maybe next season, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Alex, you got Matt Ryan?
Yeah, I because Watson was taken, I was like, I gotta get my other wide receiver stacked, or else I'm going to just have Phillip Rivers and Nick Foles, and I really didn't want that.
Did you just take Edelman on your last one?
I have Edelman, yeah. So I'm looking at a quarterback from New England. I don't want to name names to give
Do it, man. Do it.
Jarrett Stidham.
So I'm thinking about that. The other thing is I see N'Keal Harry. His ADP is higher than Cam. It looks like Cam might have gotten picked. I don't see him anymore. So
question from sorry, go. Did he get picked already? Yeah, he's as soon as he was announced as a starter, I've noticed he's going off the board way sooner, which sucks. But we've probably got a lot more than him than other people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's another guy where he's amazing in like a classic league, and then the stacking isn't quite as advantageous because he's not throwing as much as some other quarterbacks, but if he's going at 130, that's great value. All right, so I gotta make a pick here. The problem is I don't love any of these guys. I got Kamara, so I don't want to get Latavius Murray, and I gotta really pick someone.
Quick, 3. Oh,
not feeling great about that pick. I could have definitely got.
Who'd you take?
Later.
Oh, Brashad Perriman. Yeah, that's a rookie pick, Alex. But we'll let it go. Alex, who am I taking here? I don't have any Daniel Jones shares so far, and I've got Evan Ingram, so I kind of want to just take him. Is that? Do I have your seal of approval? Is that okay?
Yeah, I mean, I think Daniel Jones could have a big year this year because he ran a lot more in college than he did last year. So if he starts running more, he could really take that next step in fantasy.
All right, I like it.
The other guy I was looking at, CeeDee Lamb. I don't have this guy at all because of his ADP and the fact that he's like wide receiver 3, but he was like a first round draft pick. So like,
huge upside here. I think like if anything happens to Gallup or Cooper, this is a great offense. They're using him and they're slotting him into multiple positions, or they're putting him in the slot and outside. And Kelmore says he's going to try and get him the ball. I like him a lot. I mean, he's a really good, flashy player with, the only real negative is that there's just a lot of ball to go around.
Yeah, and that's why I picked Perryman is because like definitely not a sexy team in the Jets, but like they really don't have any pass catchers that have any like cred on the team other than Jamison Crowder. So I'm thinking Perryman, he was a former first round talent. He had some good games in Cleveland, and I'm like, that to me it's not that much different from CeeDee Lamb because CeeDee Lamb, it's like there's all these question marks. Perryman, probably like more question marks, but people just because they've seen Perryman do poorly and they haven't seen Lamb at all, they're just kind of biased towards the person that doesn't have knocks against them.
Makes sense to me.
Someone in the chat is asking about Clyde Hilaire-Edwards where would you take him? They're asking number 5 in season long.
I think I would definitely wait. I don't pick him very much because he goes off the board before I pick him, but like he's a guy where the betting markets and the ADP really don't line up because I mean there's such question marks about what the role is going to be, and people are hoping he's going to be on the field all the time, but I'm a little bit more skeptical. I think that Darrell Williams / DeAndre Washington, they might get some running work, and then you got Darwin Thompson. He's kind of that gadget pass catcher. So I'm just worried that the role won't be a workhorse role like everyone's expecting, at least to the level that he's being drafted.
Yeah, people are really hyping him up, and I just feel like they have so many people, the Chiefs, to go to that I would be worried about that too.
Yeah, and the betting markets have him kind of pegged as like a middle tier or middle to high tier running back. So kind of along the lines of Miles Sanders esque level. So I'm not super excited about him, but certainly like a tremendous player that could have a huge season.
All right, I took CeeDee Lamb. That's the latest I've seen him drop so far. So it's nice. Hey, you got to grab N'Keal Harry here, don't you?
Well, I don't have Cam though.
Oh, you didn't get Cam, right?
Yeah.
Damn it. That
I
sucks.
think
That would have been
I
perfect.
might go for Tony Pollard because I don't see anyone else I want, and just having one of those guys that is the backup that could be the workhorse that gives you a little bit of upside. So.
What do you do in my situation, Alex, where you have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp? You essentially need to get Jared Goff. He is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarterbacks right now away from being drafted. Do you am I at the point where I reach, or do I wait another round?
I'd take him just because his ADP, let's see, 142. So there definitely is a risk because not everyone realizes that they should be stacking.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want to count on other people making a ton of plays that work in your favor. So it's kind of like a lot of times I've been like, I have Michael Thomas. How did someone pick Drew Brees at 80? And it's just like tough luck. So the longer you wait, the more likelihood that'll happen.
Makes sense.
Do you have any Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, I'm all about Phillip Rivers. I think he's never had a 30 fantasy point game in his career. I was shocked.
Ever?
No way.
No,
That's impossible.
I started looking through the seasons, and as far as I could tell, it's true.
What? How is that even possible?
Dude, he had a 500-yard game where he got like one touchdown.
That's 20.
Or something.
Oh my God.
And he doesn't run at all, so that was shocking to me. But
holy shit!
He's
like 48 years old.
Indianapolis is a sick spot for him because Andrew Luck just was terrible, like in his last season, and Phillip Rivers has a long track record of being pretty good. So I'm thinking that if they pass the same level as 2 years ago with the Luck, that he could have a huge season.
Did our boy Antonio Gibson, I didn't see where he went off. What are we thinking there? Like, it seems to me like he's going a little bit early with all this fantasy football hype. Like, I've been in multiple drafts where he's gone ahead of David Montgomery. That seems a little bit crazy to me. But the fantasy community is the fantasy community. Like, all right, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong.
Okay,
I don't know if that's nice or mean.
He won at 66.
66. That's too high, guys. Antonio Gibson. That's too high.
Yeah, it's funny because everyone's like talking about how he's like the greatest pick, but then like it all has to do with the context, right? And like the nuance gets all left out there. So
exactly. And like people hype and they want to get that guy. Like you want to get that guy who everyone's talking about in your football draft, and like, the value he brings. I mean, not to mention the fact that people have been getting him like 5-8 rounds later, from these picks all off season long. Like that's just beside the point. Like the hype train just gets a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, and like, there are just like so many question marks with him too, where like, of course the fantasy people love him, but is the coach going to trot him out 3 downs every single drive, because it's like the difference between running Antonio Gibson and Peyton Barber really probably doesn't make a difference for the team to win. So I'm a little bit worried that it's a committee.
Leslie, speaking of backup running backs, you've got a little history with the possibly new starter in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Divine Ozigbo. What are we thinking here? What do we expect?
Not many people are probably familiar with that name. I think he was with the Saints and he had like 9 carries for 27 yards last season or something. So I think that could be really exciting. I think he graduated Nebraska in 2018. When Mike Riley was there, he was completely underutilized. And then when Scott Frost came in, it was really exciting to see him thrive. He was the first 1,000-yard rusher, or he had over 1,000 since Amir. So he did really well in his last season. I was disappointed that he went undrafted, but hopefully he'll get his chance down there in Jacksonville. They can score somebody,
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing, so hopefully
no one does. And they're going to be trailing 14 points in every single game. So if you're focusing crazily on the Jacksonville running backs, you're probably missing the forest for the trees here, right?
I just don't know what they're doing, but yeah.
I do know firsthand that Alex actually cried himself to sleep last night because of the Rickwell Armstead news. So,
Dude, yeah, that was tough day. It's just because I thought I was so slick picking Rockwell Armstead as the last pick every draft, and then like the dream scenario happened, and then it's like, just kidding.
It's true, man. It's true. Yeah, that was a tough one because I feel like you and Adam were sharp. Actually, Adam was really. I was really impressed by like some of his takes when you guys did that show last week. The Chase Claypool take, like all of his NFL takes. He claims to not be an NFL DFS expert or an NFL expert, but he's one of the sharpest guys around. And he was all over Chase Claypool, and now Chase Claypool's ADP is going like way up right now. And same thing with Chris Thompson as well, which kind of ties into the Jacksonville running back situation, because Chris Thompson might not get that lead role. He's going to catch passes. He's going to be involved in that offense. He's a great late round pick. I don't know. He's probably going too early now, but he was a great pick up until a few days ago, right?
Yeah, I think he's always been good when he's healthy, and that's the kind of guy in the late round that really pays off. Here's a hot take. How do you guys feel about this? I think Divine Ozigbo is a better pick than Antonio Gibson.
Damn. What, factoring in the rounds?
No.
Or all
overall.
Things just overall?
Because,
no, I don't agree with that.
Well, I feel like it's all about workload. And the workload in Jacksonville is really clear. In Washington, I don't think it is.
Okay, see, I don't think the workload in Jacksonville is clear. I don't think we know what the hell the workload in Jacksonville is going to look like. We got Thompson. Raquel Armstead might only be out for 2 weeks or something. He's got the COVID test, so he might be a factor. This other guy, James Robinson, I can't even remember. Never heard of him this morning. He's getting reps with the first team. So you got like 4 running backs. You got a team that's got a terrible defense. It's going to be coming from behind all year. Probably going to be passing a lot. And then you got Antonio Gibson, who's a wild card. Caught a shit ton of passes in Memphis last year. He's a 98th percentile in 40-yard dash. He's an athletic freak. He can line up all over the field. And Ron Rivera coming over from Carolina, who knows how to get his running backs involved in the passing game. I know I was just dissing people who were taking Gibson too early, but there's a time and a place. But I disagree with you there, Alex. I think that was probably that was an extreme take. Oh shit, I'm on the clock. I'm talking too much. Who am I taking here, Alex?
Have you gotten Goff yet?
I got Goff. I'm going to take Boston Scott because Boston Scott is one of Alex's top projected running backs in this range, right, Alex?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good play because he's getting a lot of the passing work. And if Miles Sanders had something happen, then Boston Scott last year did step into a larger role. So that's not true with a lot of the running backups. So that's something I'm definitely looking for.
Who are you about to take, Alex?
I think I got to take Sam Darnold because I have Herndon and Perryman. So he kind of completes that stack. That'll be my third quarterback. And that kind of ensures that I get the roster construction that I want.
So you're taking 3 quarterbacks most of the time?
Definitely, because the quarterback is pretty much every quarterback has upside for 30 points. That's not really true with like running back. Wide receiver, I guess, does, but I feel like the chance that third quarterback cracks your starting lineup in best ball is pretty high compared to other positions. So that's why I'm taking 3.
Here's another question I have for you as well. Like, I don't know, like it obviously depends on what kind of quarterbacks you get. If you get one of the top quarterbacks, you probably don't need 3. Pat Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, you could take Dak Prescott, whatever. Those guys are going to be scoring consistently at a top notch. And so you probably don't want to invest a ton of draft capital into your second and third quarterbacks. But one of the things I was thinking that possibly might give you an edge in the best ball format is having that third stack available when playoff time comes. So you might be going up against teams with 2 stacks. All of a sudden, your team makes the playoffs, and you've got 3 stacks. You've got maybe an extra edge that other people in those playoffs don't have. Is that something to consider, or is that just complete nonsense?
I think that's the right strategy because there's 3 weeks in playoffs into the DraftKings best ball. So basically, like, if you have the stack of the week for 3 straight weeks, you're going to win $1 million. And that's going to be a lot easier to hit with 3 stacks versus 2 because usually it's different teams every week that are having the outlier performances.
That's what
How
I'm
many
saying.
times are you able to get 3 stacks though?
Probably like 90% of the time. I mean, I just kind of go for those quarterbacks that nobody else wants, really. Go ahead, Nolan.
No, I was gonna say, like the thing is, I guess it depends on what you mean by stack, Leslie. Like what I'm talking about, like if my team with like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods and Jared Goff, that might be a little bit hard to pull off. More of like a 1 quarterback, 1 wide receiver stack is a lot easier to pull off.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah. So I've got my stacks currently are Daniel Jones and Evan Ingram, and then I've got Jared Goff, Robert Woods, and Cooper Kupp, and then I'm probably going to try and draft another quarterback, whether that's Teddy Bridgewater with Curtis Samuel, but I'll probably try and wait maybe for Nick Foles, Kirk Cousins as well as someone I've got on my draft list here. I might just take him right away, assuming Alex doesn't take him because he's got like Irv Smith or something. So those like even like I don't know, like correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but like a Kirk Cousins Adam Thielen stack is still somewhat viable, right?
Oh yeah, I mean that's solid because the big knock against Minnesota is they don't throw the ball a lot, but that can change a lot from week to week. In best ball, if you catch the week that Minnesota's trailing the whole game, I mean you could get a huge output, even though Kirk Cousins on average isn't like a hugely productive quarterback.
Makes sense.
What do you guys think is going to happen with Fournette this season? Are you going near that at all? I know Alex loves him, so.
Wow, I do.
I think I saw you tweet about him a couple weeks ago. You're not?
Oh, I think Alex is probably joking. I'm not touching him. I'm not touching that situation. Didn't actually buy in too much to the Ronald Jones hype because like Bruce Arians has historically just been like a complete head case trying to figure out what's going on with his running back. So I don't have any. I'm not going to take any because he's still the thing is like with this DraftKings draft, you've got picks coming out on the basis of their rankings, and Leonard Fournette is ranked really high. And so what happens is people almost every draft like go and like leave their computers or their phones and go and get a drink or whatever, and they miss their pick, and Leonard Fournette goes 5 rounds too early. And so it's really tough to say I'm going to be targeting Leonard Fournette because he almost never slips. Like if you look at our draft right now, Darius Geis and Damian Williams are gone. So that means that people aren't paying attention, right? And so when Leonard Fournette is so early, he's going to be going off the board now, and it just means you can't get to him, essentially.
Oh, man. You know who I'm spying that's on the board still is Divine Ozigbo.
Do it.
He could be a good later rounder because this is, what is this, 18th round?
Raquel Armstead is off the board. We are in the 17th, 18th round, yeah. Nice. Shit, only 3 picks left.
Well, you know what to do, man. You got to pick Divine because otherwise we're going to be accused of colluding.
I'd rather take Carlos Hyde though. Like I don't want to take. Yeah, of course, Carlos Hyde. Like I don't know. I think I'd still rather take him because he's slipping.
I think I like Justin Jackson here. I know you got Eckler, so I wouldn't take him on your team, but he's another guy that I feel like the handcuff value is pretty good.
Shit, I didn't realize you thought that because I've been taking a ton of Josh Kelly so far. So, yeah, that's kind of been my approach to it. I guess I got to take a wide receiver here, really, or actually one more running back. I'm gonna take my boy Carlos Hyde. I don't know. I'm panicking. I
I
need
hate
wide
it when
receivers.
that happens.
These last picks are stressful, man.
I know.
I'm taking
just,
Carlos
yeah.
Hyde.
All right, well, you know who I got? Divine Ozigbo.
Do it.
I really hope
And then,
this
like, 2
turns
weeks.
out well.
I have so much Armstead in my other lineups that I need to hedge a little bit with Ozigbo.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah, he doesn't have that 98th percentile 40-yard dash, but you know, I'm hoping that it doesn't matter.
Oh man.
All right,
Yeah.
I gotta go.
What?
Go ahead, Leslie.
I was just wondering how you guys kind of pick in these later rounds. I'm kind of always panicked like you were. Like, I don't know who to take. Half of them, up or injured or opted out or.
Well, my trick is if you have a wide receiver that you can peg for 30 or 40 yards, and there's always guys left at the end of the round, at the end of the draft, like you can count on those guys for maybe 1 or 2 outlier performances a season that will make your fantasy team. So they can definitely be productive players. So I'm looking at guys like Danny Amendola. We got on the board Van Jefferson. I think
Adam Humphries, your boy Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, Josh Reynolds. I'd probably rather go with Van Jefferson. I know, like you're talking him up. He's that rookie for the Rams. So another guy I'm tempted to pick now is Josh Gordon. One thing I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but he was just signed by Seattle. So I'm kind of thinking maybe late season he could be an interesting player.
But do you think it's going to last that long? I feel like he's so questionable about what's going to happen.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a guy that you don't want to pick before the 19th or 20th round because of that. So
one of the key, getting back to your question, Leslie, one of the key mistakes that I made last year was taking a lot of the same players in the late rounds that I really liked. We had certain guys ranked highly, and though we have them ranked highly, and that was probably a really smart ranking, there's also just a lot of variability with these picks. And so it's kind of like you need to switch it up from time to time. So I had so much Albert Wilson last year, and I still love Albert Wilson, but he's just he got injured, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I think it's a good idea to mix it up a little bit and take different guys, and also go off the board a little bit. Terry McLaurin last year, some people had him in their draft, some people were taking him in their last round. Those guys are really hard to predict, but if you hit, no one else has them, and that's an advantage. So right now I'm gonna take John Ross just because I think he's fallen a little bit, and he might have like Alex said, some of those outlier games in him. But I think that you can guys I'm looking at this year that might have that potential, or Devin Duvernay, Antonio Gandy-Golden, guys that might find themselves in a starting role that we don't know about. There's just a lot of question marks about where they might end up, because there's a lot of variety or a lot of various outcomes in their what's the word I'm looking for, Alex? Wide outcome range.
Range of outcomes.
Thank you. And then the other guy as well, I'll just throw in one more. Scotty Miller from Tampa looks like he's taken that slot role away from Tyler Johnson. I've been taking him recently with my last round pick.
Oh man, that's who I was about to mention, because I see he's on the board still. But
I get to pick before you.
Round.
So
did you just pick Alex?
I picked Van
Scotty
Jefferson.
Scotty Miller went off the board, so
I feel like Van Jefferson, the wide receivers this year were really good in the draft. Josh Reynolds has never been that good, and LA has supported 3 wide receivers for a while, so I think that the opportunity is pretty decent.
This is a good point. And what you said earlier about Gerald Everett possibly being on the trade block, we didn't know what was going to happen with the LA Rams offense. Are they just going to continue running in 3 wide receiver sets at 98% clip when they had Woods, Cooks, and Cup, or are they going to try and involve Higbee and Gerald Everett and run some more 2 tight end sets? Sean McVay maybe getting back to the 3 wide receiver sets, and if that's the case, then Van Jefferson could be in play here, and Josh Reynolds might be on the outside looking in. So makes sense to me if you want to get on the Van Jefferson trade.
Have you guys been taking any Blake Jarwin from the Cowboys?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in like Dak Prescott stacks. But I think he's one of my favorite kind of a second tight ends to slide in if I do get in one of the top tight ends.
Yeah, I was just one. I haven't taken him at all yet, but Witten's gone. Cobb. I think that this could be a good year for him.
Okay, Alex, Leslie, just help me decide on my next pick. Chris Conley, Kendrick Bourne, Adam Humphries, Andy Isabella. Who am I taking?
Kendrick Bourne.
Done.
I think that he's got a little bit more opportunity because
huge opportunity this year, right?
I think I might go for a fourth QB here just because I have Allen Robinson and I see Nick Foles is on the board. So
if you win $1 million with a 4 quarterback team, Alex, you're gonna break the system.
Especially if it's Nick Foles that wins it for me. So.
You said earlier Nick Foles is always available, and he really is.
Yeah, I've seen Trubisky get picked before him too, which is like crazy to me because I mean the odds they posted odds that Trubisky would start game 1 like on some sportsbooks. It was like 25% chance versus Foles 75. So to me, like I think a lot of people are avoiding him for that reason, but I think that spot's kind of cool because the Bears actually could make the playoffs where like other guys like Tyrod Taylor and Ryan Fitzpatrick, I feel like they might just get benched because the team's not doing well at the end of the season for the rookie QBs. And Chicago's not really like that. So
yeah, it's the opposite.
So who won the draft here, chat? Whose team is better, mine or Alex's?
You want to take a quick gander here?
Yeah, let's see. Why don't we go do some like post-draft analysis of your team?
Okay.
And then we'll do my $1 million winning team after.
All right. Well, yeah, I think one of us is gonna win it here. So I went Kamara, and then Kelsey, Robinson. Those are my top 3, and then I got Calvin Ridley. That was kind of my off the board pick because he doesn't usually fall to me. And then that ended up leading me to the Atlanta stack, which I usually have with Julio. So this lineup is pretty differentiated from my other ones because I have a lot of Julio, Matt Ryan, but I don't have any Ridley at Matt Ryan. So I'm kind of excited to have a different flavor with this team here.
So it looks like your wide receivers are really strong. You got a lot of depth. Allen Robinson, Calvin Ridley, T.Y. Hilton. You've got Will Fuller. Who are your backup? Julian Edelman. Like your wide receivers are stacked. Your tight end is stacked. You've got 4 quarterbacks. Let's talk about your running backs because that's the weakest position on your team. So Kamara, Tevin Coleman. Who else have you got?
Kerryon Johnson, Tony Pollard, and Divine Ozigbo.
Okay, so this is a great example of a team that needs one thing to break right, and you win $1 million. And if Zeke Elliott like doesn't do well this season, you've got a stacked team. Or if Zeke Elliott gets injured, something happens to him, whatever. Not to wish anything bad on Zeke Elliott. You're set up because you've got Kamara and Pollard, and then like a bunch of backups. And I think like that's kind of the team construction that has the highest upside, is it not?
I like to think so because I just picked the team, but I think like you're never gonna have a team that's perfect. You need a lot to break right, and getting some running backs late that end up being starters later in the season is definitely one of the easier things to bank on than like a wide receiver kind of working their way up throughout the season, because that really happens. So there's definitely potential. I like Kerryon Johnson for that reason too, because everyone's kind of on Swift from Detroit. He was like the first round draft pick. But it's another one where like if Swift got hurt, then Kerryon Johnson could be really sick. And I mean, if he's like as it stands, like he'll probably have a decent role. So,
although I would say this, like you're like 100% right. Swift has been being taken ahead of Kerryon Johnson with regularity, like 3 to 4 rounds ahead. But now that Kerryon Johnson's been named possibly the early season starter, that might start to change a little bit. So there hasn't been a lot of hype on this, and like you got Kerryon Johnson in a really reasonable draft position this draft. And if the hype's not going to come up on Kerryon Johnson, then I'd say start taking him, especially over the next couple days.
Yeah, I mean, like if you want to go light on running back, as is a popular strategy, you're going to need some of these later round guys that you're going to target. And I know you got David Montgomery. That's another one that I feel like is a good one that's slipping. Just guys that have like a role that's already carved out. Yeah. That you can kind of bank on later in the draft.
And that's why I really like Boston Scott this year. He rates out really well in your projections. Sign up for the Awesemo draft kit, by the way, $29.95, and you get a $35 FFPC credit. So it's almost like we're paying you to buy our draft kit this year. And use promo code SLEEPER as well for NFL DFS product. We've got a deal. What is it? 30% off, something along those lines. Make sure that you go use those promo codes and sign up. But one of the reasons I like Boston Scott is you've got that backup potential, but he could also take over starter duty if anything was to happen to Miles Sanders. The same kind of goes for, in varying degrees, Tony Pollard, Alexander Madison, Latavius Murray, Marlon Mack. A lot of guys in this range, Duke Johnson, that are kind of like, secondary running backs that still produce some good weeks for you, but also might have the ability to take over that lead role. So did we lose someone?
Yeah, we lost Leslie, unfortunately, but
she's in a tornado. She's had enough. It's fine.
Yeah.
Why don't we go over my team? Because I think my team's even better than your team. So yeah, maybe everyone.
I don't doubt it. I mean, you've been the one giving me advice about how to draft. So
that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Okay, so I guess like first round, I debated between Derrick Henry and Michael Thomas. I actually find the Michael Thomas drafts a lot more fun and a lot more high upside because you've got that wide receiver one, and then you really have to hone down on running backs. But it's also very dangerous because running backs can go off the board like crazy in these best ball drafts. And you can kind of find yourself screwed and reaching. Like your running back is the one position where you're sitting there going like, I don't have running backs. I need to take running backs. And if I don't get them, I'm screwed. And so I found myself like being in the situation where I'm going 2 to 3 rounds deep to make sure I get running backs when I haven't taken running backs. And so that's one of the knocks against taking Michael Thomas early and not just grabbing one. Because once you grab one, it doesn't really matter. Like you can grab 5 in the last 5 picks. It's not the end of the world, right? So I went Derrick Henry. Austin Eckler, I think, is going a little bit undervalued. I feel like my wide receivers are pretty solid. Adam Thielen, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Jarvis Landry, Anthony Miller, CeeDee Lamb, Curtis Samuel, John Ross, and Kendrick Bourne. That's enough wide receivers. That feels like pretty solid, right?
You got a lot of wide receivers, and they're all starters. I mean, so they're definitely gonna give you a lot of fantasy points. You can use up to 4 a week, so.
Exactly. Yeah. And like there's so much variance in the wide receiver position. And because I went running back 1 and running back 2, you got Derrick Henry and Austin Eckler. If things go according to plan with this team, those guys are going to be hitting my running back 1 and running back 2 positions on most weeks. 3 quarterbacks. I've got Daniel Jones. I've got Jared Goff, and I took Kirk Cousins. So I've got a Cousins Thielen stack. I've got a Goff Woods Cup stack, and I've got a Daniel Jones Evan Ingram stack. So although I wanted to get Golden Tate or Sterling Shepard, I'm totally happy with that. And then Carlos Hyde is an X factor. I think could be, a decent depth play. He might see some starting time. And John Ross and Kendrick Bourne are nice wide receiver flyers at the end of the draft. Tight end, I'm okay with Evan Ingram and also Dallas Goddard. I feel like that's kind of mediocre for the position. So I actually like as far as drafts go, I've probably done about 100 of these best ball drafts so far. I would give this one kind of a B+, just because it fell right. It all kind of fell into place. I didn't have to reach. The quarterbacks lasted that I wanted to get. And so I feel like I got some value, some stacks, and some depth there.
Nice, man. I like it.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. I guess we lost Leslie, but any final thoughts? Like any one thing I wanted to kind of pick your brain about is just like general best ball advice or general things that you think people are doing well or doing wrong, or things that you think people could learn from?
I think just the line of construction, I feel like, is a common mistake where not really taking advantage of the fact that you got a bunch of chances to hit a high score if you take more guys from a certain position. So I think just like having that right mix of players to make sure that you have a good pool to draw from. Like, especially with quarterback, I don't know how it's possible for everyone to get 3 quarterbacks because there's only 32 teams and 12 times 3 is 36. So like that means a lot of people aren't drafting, right? So
yeah.
I think that that's definitely an easy tip that I recommend. Besides that, I think that I think just making sure that you don't reach, letting the guys fall to you, that'll give you the most stacked rosters.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that I've really kind of come to love doing during these drafts as well is taking wide receivers that pair up with quarterbacks that you can get later. So if I'm drafting in that kind of early 3rd round, and I know that I'm trying to think of a good example. If I know that, say, like Mark Andrews is available, but I know Lamar Jackson is gone, I might not take Mark Andrews because I know that I can't really pair him up with that quarterback. Whereas like, I'm struggling to think of an example of these early wide receivers. But if you know that it's going to be a lot harder, given your draft position, to pair that wide receiver up with a quarterback, due to the fact that like that quarterback, maybe you're at the front of the draft or the back of the draft, and that quarterback is not lining up with the way you pick. I think going with the wide receiver that has a later quarterback correlation gives you so much more flexibility as you go on in that draft, and you don't have to stretch for quarterbacks or reach for quarterbacks or get burned by someone taking your quarterback early. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and that's one of the things that I've learned this draft. So
definitely, man, I like it. I think that you got to plan out having the stack available like when you want to draft them. So having a guy that no one picks the quarterback, that can help a lot.
Awesome. Well, guess what we've got coming up tomorrow? Tomorrow is On the Contrary back tomorrow, Alex?
It is, yeah. I'm pretty excited.
Steve Buzzard joining?
That's right, the Colts. Steve Buzzard. He's had some big football wins in past few years, so I'm excited to pick his brain about this upcoming season. Along with Laffy, of course. He's joining On the Contrary for the first season, so that'll be awesome.
That is right. The freshly departed Chris Spags onto greener pastures. Laffy is taking over the On the Contrary show. We're going to have a rotating series of guests every Saturday for you guys. Tomorrow we are going at 3:30 Eastern is what we just, no, is that right? Yeah, 3:30 Eastern. Laffy hosting, Alex and Steve Buzzard. We're just going to get the kind of an early look. Normally On the Contrary is more of a like contrarian look at the slate and some contrarian opinions there, but this slate is this show is just going to be about maybe some more first looks, because we don't really have the data out yet, and we're still a week away from that. So just a bonus show for everyone to get you back in the fold, and we will see you back tomorrow as well. We've got of course our usual scheduled programming, MLB, NBA Live before lock. We've got UFC Fight Night with Jason Floyd and Pete Rogers, and we've got the NASCAR Strategy Show tomorrow. So make sure to check those out. And of course, we've got loads of promo codes. So use promo codes to get signed up for that NFL package. We've got Draft Kit. We've got everything you need. Head on over to awesemo.com and check it out, and we will see you back here shortly.